spend some time with you, just sharing what we feel like God's heart is for our church and these next couple of chapters that God has planned for us. So let me take you way back to the grand year of 2000, and I think it was 11. I was a few years younger, a few less gray hairs at that time. And it was before we ever moved here, before I told anybody. My pastor knew at the time, but I called a mentor of mine, and I said, his name's Ben. He serves on our pastoral oversight team now. And I said, hey, Ben, I knew we weren't even that close. I'd known him since I was a little kid, but we weren't even that close. But he was a mentor that I had looked up to for a long time. And I said, Ben, I feel like there's this call in our life to go plant this church. It's going to be called Fathom Church. We feel like God's called us to Jacksonville. And I just began to just pour my heart out for what God had called us to. And it was things that I've never talked about here. It was like things that just God's placed in my heart for the next 20 years. And he just let me pour out my heart. I don't even know how long I talked. I talked for a while, and he just waited patiently for me to just get it all out. And he just said this very simple phrase to me. He said, Kyle, this is way bigger than you. And it was right then, I was just really relieved. I really was. And I was also affirmed that like God was in this thing. It wasn't a man-made thing. God had placed something God-sized in our heart. And here's the next phrase he said to me after he said, this is way bigger than you. He said, God is going to bring people all alongside you all through this journey to help bring this vision to life. And as I stand here on this Vision Sunday, I look around and I think about you guys in this room, and those of you that joined us in chapter 1, and we're here out of the gate and have just watched where Fathom has come from those early days. Those of you that joined us in chapter 5 at our last kind of major Vision Sunday for the story vision back in 2018 that we completed in 2021. I think about you guys and how God brought you, and He's woven us together in this story. I look around this room and I see people that God's brought into this story in the past year or two, and each one of you have a significant role to play in this season for why God's doing what He's doing and what we see Him doing all around us, but also in the next chapter of Fathom. And so the next chapter, we're kind of, God's just planted in our heart to call it Revive All. For all the world to know, because really we are sensing all around us. You know, if you follow the trajectory of what's been happening in Christianity around the globe, and particularly in America, Christianity was on a decline for a very long time, like decades. It's just been on the decline if you look at it statistically. And over the past like 24 months, it's plateaued. We haven't arced up yet. It was just on a decline for decades, but then it's plateaued. So like, praise God for that. We're not in decline, you know? But what's happening in our growing city, in this kind of changing tides of America right now, that things are plateauing. And I believe at Fathom Church and in the nation, we're actually beginning to see sights and sounds of, I believe, true revival. And let me just tell you, revival is not more people sitting in a sanctuary. That's not revival. That's more better attendance. Revival is what I'm actually witnessing all around us, is transformed lives. People waking up to the goodness of God, people beginning to dig into the Word of God, people being deeply formed as disciples of Jesus, people stepping into bold faith, things that are crazy, but they're walking into it anyway, people that are walking in obedience to the Lord and trusting God, people who are repenting and drawing near to the Lord, who are coming to know Him, and their soul is saved and disciples being made. And so this vision that we are stepping into, it's really a spiritual journey for us all, that God's gonna continue to do something in each of our lives, and He's doing something in us collectively, and so excited to unpack that. I mean, we can look at all the ways and just the signs and the sounds that have been all around us, from going multiple services to the launch of the Brazilian church, the thousands of people who are being touched through the food pantry, and each one of you have a huge role to play in why we're seeing what we're seeing. Very simply, like our heart is to see souls saved, to see disciples made, and to see family lines change for the glory of God. That's the heart of this vision, is the glory of God. It's life transformation to see people come to start fresh relationships, people who were in relationship but were not deeply formed by him grow, and then to actually see entire family units changed for the glory of God. And so we're really excited about this next chapter. Again, we're calling it Revival, and I want to walk you through what this is going to look like, what God's placed in our heart, and it's really going to happen through 3 phases of construction on our property. Again, it's about a spiritual journey we're on, but there is a physical construction thing that's going to be taking place in the coming years. Phase 1, this is what phase 1 is going to look like. It's a new sanctuary, expanding the space, because as you can tell, like we're in 3 services now, and we're kind of running out of room in what we have now on many weekends. And so the way these things go, that takes time to do that. And so we're gonna build a new sanctuary to the left, or to the right, if you come on our property, to the right of our next gen building behind me. And so that'll be an exciting time to expand the footprint of our sanctuary, doubling its size, but keeping it very intimate and that Fathom culture that we love and the community aspects. This current building that we're sitting in right now will actually turn into a next-gen Anchored Kids space. So this will be an Anchored Kids sanctuary, and we're really excited about that. All of our Anchored Kids team, they're like, yeah, a little more room. That'd be great to let these kids run around. Our next-gen building will stay pre-K. That'll stay a pre-K building. We'll actually put a door in this back corner where you can, and there'll be an overhang as you connect from the sanctuary and drop kids off right there. In that back of the sanctuary will actually be a kids check-in area and a very fun next-gen lounge. And so we're really excited about that. The lobby will become Take Two. And so kids won't be over there for Take Two. They'll be right there. And so we're really excited about all that God is going to do in phase 1, and we are kicking that phase off today. We are kicking that phase off today and making room. Yeah, praise God. We're really excited about that. Phase 2 is going to be, I know you're going to be really excited about. Phase 2 is going to be Compassion House. So Compassion House, this house just runs on compassion. I feel like it runs on compassion, is in our heart. And we're so excited to be able to to quadruple or like 5 or 6 times larger food pantry warehouse on our campus. It's amazing. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, there's like over $1 million of retail goods that get distributed out of about 400 square feet or less. It's the grace of God that's just flowing. It's the faithfulness of so many volunteers. It's the compassion that we enter into that way. God has blessed it. God's allowing us to be a light to other food pantries. And we're serving other food pantries, other churches who don't know how to do this. They're like, how do you do this? And we're actually helping others. And so we're going to expand that. That room you see up at the top there will actually be a flex outreach space for roots courses, things like Embrace Grace, things like English second language classes, or exploring your faith. And Compassion House will also have a full retail coffee shop that will run day and night and be a third space in our community. And our vision for this is that the coffee shop would actually help to fund and underwrite the ministry and allow us to do even more in our city and be a beautiful place for us to connect and gather. There's not really any great local coffee shops in our neighborhood, and so we're excited about Compassion House and what God is going to do in phase 2. We hope to move into that pretty quickly after phase 1. And then finally, there's a phase 3 as well. And phase 3 is going to be a complete next-gen expansion. We feel like for the next couple phases, we're going to have what we need. Kids taking over elementary. This is a lot of space for elementary kids to grow in. But in phase 3, we really anticipate another third space with a very flexible indoor community play space, a preschool, the thing's not working there, but a preschool in this third phase, as well as that will become our new check-in area, an indoor check-in area. So here's a little bit of kind of the floor plan of what this looks like and the kind of overview. So you can see out front, there's actually a front yard that's going to be similar to our backyard. That's just a place to gather and linger and where community happens. And so that's going to take place in the front yard. And one of the big things that we've talked about for years is that Fathom means outstretched arms in Old English. You guys remember that? Like Fathom means outstretched arms. And we talk about it all the time because it helps us to preach the gospel. That what Christ did for us in stretching out his arms, keeping the main thing. But I want you to know one of the things I'm really excited about is moving the sanctuary, moving the worship auditorium to the central place on our campus. Because worship is a posture of worship is outstretched arms. It's a life outstretched. It's a posture. And so you can kind of see on this property that there are literally outstretched arms to our community, calling them into a house of worship, calling them into a life of worship. And what's surrounding this house of worship are two outstretched arms that come out of that posture of worship, which is the posture of this house, which is to love our community. They're community spaces, the Compassion House and the Next Gen. They're these outstretched arms to our community, inviting people in to experience God, to experience the love of God, and to experience a life of worship. And so we're really excited about all that, these three phases. We've got a few renderings that we've had done. You can see that the larger building in the middle there is the sanctuary. The Compassion House is there to the right, and then the Next Gen expansion there to the left. We're really excited about what God is going to do in this next chapter for Fathom Church, because there are more people in our city that need the good news of Jesus. There's souls that are waiting to be saved. And they're going to hear the good news of Jesus because of our faith, because of our obedience, stepping into this bold next chapter for Fathom Church. And so it's in our heart to see these be completed in the next few years, at least chapter 1 of that, phase 1 of that. We know it's going to take several years. If you've ever been through permitting and planning process, it takes a long time. And so we have started the architectural plans, but we have not finished those. And so we're going to begin to take steps towards that. And here's the thing, we're going to move at the pace of generosity and giving. Like there's no magic rich uncle who's going to fund this. And if you know anything about construction today, it's very pricey. And so we are moving forward to make space, to make room for more people to experience Jesus. If God's done anything in your life in this place, like over the past year or 2 years or 10 years or 12 years, whatever, if God's done anything in your life, I want you to begin to pray that God would do that for somebody else. That what you've experienced in community, that you would help to create that for other people, and we would make space for more. Right now, our projections that this is going to cost us about $3.5 million. So it's a significant amount of money for anybody. If anybody has a check they'd like to cut on that today, we could just keep it moving. It's a lot of money. I get that. It's more than we've ever raised. We're debt-free. And I'm going into this, and my bold prayer is God keep us debt-free. I believe there's enough faith in the room. When we started this process 2.5 years ago, we sat with our board. I said, what's the faith in the room? And the number was $3.5 million. And as we worked with our general contractor, he ran preliminary budgets. We said, what's the budget? And he said, $3.5 million. I'm like, well, ain't that funny? That's what God gave us faith for. So it's the very top of what he gave us faith for, but here we are. And so we're going to move at the pace of generosity. Over the next month, we'll be guiding you through this journey. Today, we're going to begin to just share more of the vision, the plans on it. Next week, I just want to pastor you on faith and what it looks like for God to stretch our faith, because I know for each one of us, this is going to be a season for our faith to be stretched, for our faith to grow. But I also know some of us are going to immediately begin to wrestle with fears and different things that we are processing in our own life when it comes to the growth of the church and all those things. And we're going to guide you through that. And then at the end of the month, we'll have a time to commit ourselves to this journey and commit ourselves to what we are going to willingly and joyfully give into this next chapter of Fathom Church. And so here's how we feel like we're going to do this. We're going to do this through three things. By everyone just saying, hey, I'll pray about it, Pastor. And if you'll just say, hey, I'm going to pray to God, and I actually want to hear what he has to say. I want to pray what God would have me to do to be a part of this. And I believe that God will give you a number. Maybe it's in a conversation, processing it, and thinking about something that God's going to place on your heart, a figure over the next 3 years that you would sacrificially give above and beyond the tithe. This is not moving the tithe and offerings like from, because we have normal operations. Ministry is going to continue to flow. So please don't pull from that and go to legacy. That's actually going to hurt more than it's going to help. Okay, and so we're talking about sacrificial giving above and beyond that. And I know we're living in many tight times, but God is going to stretch our faith through this, and it requires sacrificial giving. But I just want you to hear from God. I don't want you to hear from me. I don't want you to hear pressure from me, because I don't feel pressure about this. God's going to provide. He's the provider. In fact, you want to hear a cool story? I was sitting with some of our staff spouses at a Mexican lunch dinner up the road one night, and just sharing about this vision. and we're sitting there, and we got to talking about the financial aspect of this. And I just got the number 3.5 million out of my mouth. We're not even, Andy was sitting there, it was like, 20 seconds after I started talking about this, the server comes up and taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, I just want to let you know your bill's been paid for. And we're just all started like freaking out because it's like awesome because our food was actually paid for. But the timing of it could not have been more of an affirmation that God is going to provide. And here's how we believe he's going to provide. Each one of us praying, hearing from God, and then obeying God. It's not feeling pressure, it's hearing from God and boldly obeying to step into this chapter. And then at the end of the month, end of October, October 26th, we will have our First Fruit Sunday, an opportunity for us to sow into that vision, just right up front and just say, hey, we want to be a part of this, we're going to sow into it. But it's also that day we'll have, it'll be a commitment Sunday to be able to commit to this journey. I don't want anybody to feel pressured. I want you to pray. I want you to hear and I want you to obey what God would ask you to do and be a part of this and to just pray into this and all the lives that are going to be changed. So I pray you will jump on board and get excited about what God is doing in the next chapter of Fathom Church. We're calling it Revive All. And so today, as you exit, you're going to get a little booklet that's a discipleship guide that'll help you answer, it'll answer a lot of questions for you. We're going to start a devotion tomorrow together. And so you can jump into that discipleship guide. We're going to be reading. There's a church center group if you'd like to find that and just conversate through this month as we're processing all that God is doing. And so are you guys excited about the next chapter at Fathom Church? Come on. I'm really, really excited about it, rested in it, and excited for what God has. All month long, we've been taking the word and we've been reading entire chapters, and I want to do the same today. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I am going to preach the whole chapter. I'll summarize one section of it, but I want to read 10 verses out of 1 Chronicles chapter 28. And it's where God had put on David's heart to build a house for him. 1 Chronicles 28, God had put it on David's heart to build a house. And let's read the first 10 verses and kind of reflect on that in light of where we are as a church. David assembled all the leaders of Israel in Jerusalem